Right now, the money in your pocket is not really yours. Your pension is not really yours. Even your future is not really yours. All of it is collateral for a system that only survives as long as you keep holding it up. What if I told you that the entire global economy runs on the same logic as a scam? That every dollar you save, every pension you contribute to, every mortgage you pay is part of a structure that can only survive if more people join beneath you, feeding money upward. That's not a Ponzi scheme hiding in some dark corner of finance. That's the operating system of the modern world. And here's the hard truth. The only reason it hasn't collapsed yet is because governments, banks, and central banks keep feeding it new recruits, new credit, and new illusions. The question is not whether this system will break. The question is who will be crushed when it does. To understand this, we need to start with what a pyramid scheme really is. It's not complicated. A pyramid scheme promises extraordinary returns, but instead of creating real value, it pays old participants with money from new ones. Charles Ponzi made this logic infamous in 1920 when he promised investors a 50% return in just 90 days. At first, he paid them using money from new investors, creating the illusion that the system worked. People rushed in. The scheme looked safe until the math caught up. Every layer required more people than the one before it. Within months, the structure collapsed. Thousands were wiped out. Ponzi went to prison, but his name survived. Because the logic survived. A pyramid scheme is unsustainable because it requires infinite growth in a finite world. Eventually, you run out of new entrants. Now here's the disturbing part. Strip away the legal language, and the global economy runs on the same logic. Governments borrow trillions not from real value they've created, but from future generations that don't exist yet. Corporations load up on debt to buy back shares, enriching insiders while pushing the cost forward. Households live on credit, paying interest forever, while the principal barely moves. And the money itself isn't backed by gold, silver, or anything tangible. It's created out of thin air the moment a bank issues a loan. Most people never realize this. The money you use every day was never printed the way you imagine. It was lent into existence. Under fractional reserve banking, when you deposit $1,000, the bank is only required to keep a fraction of it in reserve. The rest is lent out. That loan becomes new money, which is deposited again and lent again. From a single deposit, the system creates layers of new credit. On paper, everyone looks richer. In reality, it's a pyramid of claims stacked on top of each other. And it only works as long. When that confidence cracks, the illusion collapses. That's when you get bank runs, financial panics, emergency rescues. We saw it in the Great Depression. We saw it again in 2008. This didn't happen by accident. After World War II, the global economy was rebuilt under the Bretton Woods system, with the US dollar tied to gold. That system ended in 1971 when the gold window was closed. From that moment on, the world ran entirely on fiat money, currency backed by nothing but trust. And trust is fragile. To keep the system alive, governments had to promise growth forever. Growth funded by debt, growth funded by inflation, growth funded by your labor. That's the structure of a pyramid. Take pensions and Social Security. They aren't paid from savings set aside for you. They're paid from the contributions of younger workers today. As long as the base grows, the system survives. But in aging societies, the base is shrinking. Japan, Europe, the United States. Fewer workers are supporting more retirees. The math doesn't work, so governments borrow more, print more, delay the reckoning. Housing markets work the same way. Prices rise not because of real value, but because new buyers are forced to borrow more. When affordability breaks, the base collapses. Financial markets rely on the same belief. Stocks rise because someone expects another buyer tomorrow. Crypto made this logic obvious, but it never belonged only to crypto. In 2008, when the pyramid cracked, central banks stepped in. They printed trillions. They called it quantitative easing. Old debts were paid with new money. Losses were socialized. Profits stayed private. The pyramid didn't fall. It grew larger. And the cost was passed to you through inflation, austerity, and shrinking purchasing power. History repeats this pattern again and again. The Great Depression, Japan's lost decades, every debt empire follows the same path. Today, global debt exceeds $300 trillion. That's 3 times the world's annual economic output. The entire planet owes years of future labor just to keep the system standing. Inflation is how the pyramid demands its sacrifice. It's not a mistake, it's the price of survival. The winners are always the same: banks, corporations, political insiders, and the latecomers pay the price. The global economy hasn't collapsed yet because it has powers Ponzi never had: the ability to print money, to enforce taxation, to delay consequences. But no pyramid grows forever. The lesson is simple. The system is not designed for your benefit. It's designed to protect itself. Real security doesn't come from promises. It comes from understanding how the structure works. Because if you mistake a pyramid for a foundation, eventually it will collapse beneath you.